everyone. It's so great to be here. Can all the women who are here please stand? We got to stick together. Are we still in single digits or are we in double digits? Wonderful. And can we all commit to having more women at next year's SmartCon? So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here to talk to two totally fascinating people. Rashmi Misra, who is the General Manager of AI and Emerging Technologies at Microsoft. But I want to tell you just a few of her qualifications. She owns 6 international patents for intelligent optimization, automated network health, and monetization of traffic on telecom networks. Just listening to that is completely intimidating. And she has a doctorate in artificial intelligence on multi-agent reasoning systems and an MBA from Warwick University in the UK. So, Rashmi, so great to be with you. And to be with you, Nate, the co-founder and CEO of Space and Time, and also a strategic advisor to Bain & Company and to Chainlink. So, Nate, let me start with you. Why do we need a Web.3 native data warehouse? And why are you partnering with Microsoft and Chainlink?
No, thank you, Arianna, and it's great to be on a panel with both of you. I really respect all the work that you've done for so many years. And Rashmi, thanks for joining as well. I think, look, there's really exciting applications that are being built all over the world, in different countries, people with different backgrounds, with different experiences. And these applications in a decentralized world, unfortunately today, are all being built on centralized databases, which means there's central points of control that are managing those databases. And you think about gaming, and you think about DeFi, and you think about the enterprise applications that are being built today. They all need a couple of things. One thing that they need is they need to be able to have on and off-chain data, be able to be operated at scale with enterprise SLAs to power their businesses. And the other thing that they need is they need the ability to be able to connect that data directly to smart contracts, to have trustless business automation processes that don't require a central point of control to be able to verify or validate that something is accurate. And so if we think about it and where we're going as an industry, we're really excited to partner with both Chainlink and Microsoft. First of all, I think Chainlink's on the forefront of Web3 data ecosystems and enabling this with centralized databases and databases that are outside of the blockchain industry. And then Microsoft has been powering applications for decades. And they've really been automating businesses for decades. And so we're really excited about partnering with both.
And Rashmi, you know, you work for a company that's worth over $1 trillion, or at least was before the market crashed. What is the motivation for investing in Nate's company? And how do you see this investment benefiting your customers, your users?
Okay. Thank you for that question. So I guess Microsoft's long invested in world-class data systems. And so we've really driven that through understanding the industry, through leading with maturity, and then investing in innovation, especially where it comes with partners such as Space and Time. And as our customers and partners are exploring this space with their business use cases, we want to make sure that through a principled Web3 environment, we provide them with the right tools and the right applications and capabilities. And it's also worthwhile remembering that machine learning and AI sources data, and a lot of the data that our partners use come from data warehouses. And they're actually, developers are very comfortable using databases and data warehouses to access the data they need and to build value from the data that they source from it. And so Space and Time actually makes a very good entry point for where they're coming in to those applications from as well.
And Nate, why a trustless database? And we're talking backstage about the term trustless, because I'm sure you all understand what it means. But the average customer and consumer thinks of trustless as devoid of trust, as opposed to what it really is, which is beyond trust, as we perceive it right now. So could you explain, first of all, trustless in a way that people who are not as engaged as all of you here are would understand immediately? And also, how do you promise to be different for the internet constituents, to protect them and their data?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll first start with trustless. And I love the term beyond trust, as we were talking about backstage. If we think about it today, data and privacy is the #1 concern that a lot of people have in the world today. And if you're talking in boardrooms, data and privacy is really, really important, and it's a top-of-mind conversation. And today, you have central services, you have centralized databases that are determining what to do with data. And they're determining how to use that data in the world today. And a lot of that data is data that we provide as individuals, that tell about us, that have unique kind of characteristics of who we are and how we interact with the world. And so as we think about a trustless database or a beyond trust database, you know, it does seem a little odd, because for literally a century, brands have been being built for us to trust them, to trust their brands, to trust that they're going to do the right thing with it. And in a trustless environment, and in what Space and Time is building from a decentralized data warehouse perspective, we have community-operated nodes, which means myself, my co-founder Scott Dykstra, Space and Time in general, we don't own the servers. Anyone can participate in the decentralized network. Anyone in here can participate in that. But because we don't know necessarily who's participating in that network, we can't assume that they're always going to do the right thing. And this is where cryptographic proof and trustless analytics is so important, because the data that's being operated within the database, we need to be able to mathematically guarantee that when that data is being run and that data is being delivered to a smart contract, that it's not being tampered with. And where we're so excited around proof of SQL is businesses run on SQL all day, every day. Microsoft is a huge enabler for SQL to be run and to support businesses as well. And we want to be able to connect SQL statements and queries directly to smart contracts and have trustless analytics that are delivered to those.
Amazing. So are you now going to ask us a question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Arianna, just wanted to ask you a quick question. Like, how have you seen trust and the ability to interact with business, media, and really human connections change over the last decade, and what challenges do you see ahead of all of us?
Well, I saw firsthand, you know, when I launched the Huffington Post, the paradox of having the opportunity for anybody really to start a media company and democratizing the participation in the world of media, while at the same time losing trust. Like every year since the Huffington Post was founded in 2005, people trust media less and less, because we've seen so many bad actors, misrepresentation, we've seen algorithms with confirmation bias, which have exacerbated the problem. So I'm personally incredibly excited to have an objective proof point that brings transparency to the whole process, so that we can actually see another paradox, which is we have the incredibly sophisticated technology of Web3, which is so complex at the back end, but which kind of humanizes reliability and trust, which ultimately are so essential for human connection and relationships.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
So, anything you want to say about that, Rashmi? Or?
Oh, that really resonates. I think I especially like the part about how trust is important there as well.
Yes, in any communication. So, how do Microsoft and your customers see the role of AI and data to improve business logic over the next decade? And how do we bring more trust to AI?
Interesting questions. So I think we're living in an age of disruptive change, and agility and innovation have become the hallmarks of a resilient business. And within that, it's become imperative to be able to connect customers and data, people and products, supply chain to storefronts, back office to front office, and all at the speed of the change that's actually happening, breaking down barriers and actually ensuring that there is a single view of the data across an organization, and that the organization can also move at that speed of change as well, bringing together customer insights to where they can be most effectively used continuously. And so within that environment, being able to use AI and machine learning to be able to inform and to be able to reason on that data and provide those insights starts becoming really important. And when we look at the input to AI is that data, and the output we want is value, and sometimes disruptive value to a whole use case. And if I give you an example of business process transformation, what we're increasingly seeing is that some of our customers, some of our enterprise customers, are actually using some of our frontier models of AI that we provide through our Azure OpenAI service, but also through our first-party products like Dynamics. And they're using them sometimes with multiple models, so that they can use things like classification, natural language, segmentation, and other models as well, in order to be able to drive that speed within their business process transformation. And as an example, one of the enterprises that comes to mind actually takes customer responses input, customer feedback input, and then runs a set of AI on it that actually allows it to segment and classifies it according to the different products, understands which product that feedback was for, then applies some sentiment analysis and says, well, okay, let me really understand what that customer meant, and then auto-generating a response which their customer rep can then actually feedback in the most sensitive way. And meanwhile, they're also looking at how they can summarize the core data from the customer and then compare it to the CRM data that was input to then look at, well, how does that affect my process that I'm already running? So instead of doing this over months and days, they're now doing it in days and minutes in terms of how they can be agile and address and update their business processes in the time. And so, of course, all of this requires that it's built on a framework of responsible AI. As you can imagine, there's lots of AI there, and all the way from the data to the model and how that's used really does need to be driven in a principled manner. And at Microsoft, we have our responsible AI framework, which really brings together the attributes that we expect of operationalizing that AI. So with fairness, reliability and security, privacy, but also inclusiveness, so everybody can use it, and all embedded on a foundation of transparency and accountability for that as well. So when we go into how people will be using these and how you want to be able to bring some of this together, the trust starts becoming really important there and how we build that as well. And that's why partnering with Space and Time also makes a lot of sense, as you can see.
Amazing.
I wanted to ask both of you just a question real fast. So we think about the Web3 space, and it's still very new, not always well understood. And how can Web3 developers and companies bring mainstream consumer confidence to blockchain and the technology?
So I think there are really two priorities. One is simplicity. How can you explain it to your grandmother, to your child, to people who are not as well versed in Web3 and the technology as the people in this room? And the other is, how do you ease the consumer's life? And you said something, Nate, that I love, which is that until you can walk into Starbucks and purchase a cup of coffee with Ethereum or Link, the Web3 world will remain a niche market. So I think it's simplicity and facilitating consumer transactions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good response to that. I think Web3 and its use cases and scenarios are all evolving, right, as we've talked about quite extensively. And it's not just the use case that are still evolving and rapidly evolving, it's also the fundamental technology underneath it as well. So whilst we wait for that to evolve, you know, from our perspective, we look at how we can, as a platform and tool provider, how we can provide the right platforms and tools to enable our customers and partners to be able to explore that space, to be able to bring the business value that they're looking for. And we do that through, you know, certainly our Azure capabilities, including things like our managed confidential consortium framework, or ACC product, but we also do it through our Azure Ledger capability. And then there's a whole swathe of dev tools as well through GitHub and Visual Studio. And then, of course, our security and identity products as well. And some of you may have heard of our Entra validation capabilities in identity as well. And of course, finally, it's also by investing, right? So it's investing in Web3 specialist companies. So, you know, including people like Consensus, who are a existing stalwart in this space, but also startups like Palm and yourself as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me just quickly end by asking you, if you look into your crystal ball, what do you want to achieve in the next 5 years?
Is that for me? I'll go first. Okay, so I would like to be able to see an environment where our customers and partners who are delving into this and able to find business value for the use cases that they're passionate about here, but also doing it in a very principled and structured framework. This is very important to us because we look at this space especially as wanting to have a few fundamental principles. One, that trust security is built into and is safe for all users, that it's compliant with all applicable laws, that the space is interoperable and open and thrives with that openness as well, and that we empower our users to create and have equal distribution of the economic value that comes out of this space. And really just, I guess, finally also making sure that it's a sustainable environment that we build as well. So within that framework, if I could actually see a future, then I would really like that our partners are able to access space and time technology from the cloud, but also built in and integrated well with our productivity tools, our data tools, and our developer environment as well, so that that would really democratize and speed up the access to these technologies, as well as really bring forward some of those new innovative business value use cases we're seeing.
Great. And for you, Nate?
And just real quick, we see a world where smart contracts are operating business process, and that we're extending current business process and automation to be driven through smart contracts. We want trustless analytics feeding smart contracts, and we want to take the world's logic that's sitting off-chain and be able to combine it with on-chain data. And look, like, we're really excited. Like, Chainlink enables us to do that, being able to directly connect data to smart contracts, having everything go through Chainlink and having this power, the generation of smart contract, is something we're really excited about, and partnering with Microsoft as well to ensure that we have the business process and the customers with their data that's all sitting off-chain to be able to come through. So we see a world where smart contracts is generating and processing the interactivities of data and individuals throughout the world, and that we're having trustless validation and verification through Chainlink with smart contracts.
Well, thank you so much, both. And I know I'm really excited to see what your partnership will bring about. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.